Well, I managed to get a little free time, so I watched Crusher Joe Ash, the ultimate weapon, a little earlier than I thought I was going to, but I suppose none of you really care about that, you're getting it early. As long as it's there, right? Anyway, Crusher Joe Ash, the ultimate weapon, is the second of two OVAs that succeed the Crusher Joe the movie, which I will later review. I realize I'm going terribly out of order, but it's just the order I felt like watching them in. Now, Crusher Joe Ash, the ultimate weapon, revolves around Crusher Joe and his team, and if you don't know who they are, revert back to my Ice Prison OVA review, are thrown into an interplanetary conflict when they are asked by the President of the Republic of Bandor to rescue Major Tanya and subsequently dispose of Ash, the ultimate weapon. Now, Major Tanya has been kidnapped by rebel leaders from the military. And why? Because Bandor and another planet called Carmina have been in an interplanetary war, interstellar war, for quite a time now. And, during the period of this, they are now finally in peace talks, but the military of Bandor, they don't know who exactly who is behind it, is trying to prolong the war, gain Ash the ultimate weapon, and finally destroy Carmina and win the war. The story this time around, after you have seen the movie and the Ice Prison, is picking back up the action. And Ash the Ultimate Weapon is certainly full of it. It starts out with a the laser fight and a gunfight on a ship, and it just goes from there. This does not have quite as much action as the movie, but that is only because it is hindered by its 1 hour length, 54 minutes to be exact. But regardless, this has got a ton of action in it. I don't want to reveal too much about it, but I will say the Cloakers, kind of Terminator-esque bot, not Terminator-esque, take human form, but intelligent killer robots that inhabit the planet Davidoff, of which they must find Ash the Ultimate Weapon, are a great nemesis. They are not the main enemy of the show, but are a great background force. They really add kind of almost a horror feel to parts of it. You never get scared, of course, but they do add a lot of action to it, and it's good. They have good designs. They look very unthreatening, and though there is a few too many of those just looking them in the eye shots, if you've seen it, you know what I mean. This is, they really do add a lot to it. They have huge amounts of explosions and destruction in this, and this is what you're really looking for when you're watching Crusher Joe. And they bring out both the fighter ships and Gary on the kind of APC tank they have, the Crusher Joe team, and it really gets the job done. This is really entertaining from start to finish. The plot, while there, isn't even nearly as pronounced as the Ice Prison, but it's still interesting. Don't get me wrong, but the action certainly takes precedence over it, and that is a good thing. That is what you want to see in Crusher Joe. In regards to the animation, this is very much like the Ice Prison. It is an OVA-style budget, so that means that it looks good for the time, but not incredibly fantastic. I will admit, over the Ice Prison, I would definitely take this one animation-wise, because this has got quite a few, actually, sequences. Very fluid animation. It's constantly drawn, and I always look back on movies of this age, or that are hand-drawn without CG assistance, and you can really admire those aspects, because those must have taken forever, and they really show in the action scenes. Admittedly, there is some weak points to the animation because of the massive amount of cloakers they have and the action going on screen. They do have to shortcut a few things, but it still looks good. It's never so bad that it's distracting from your eye. It's more stylistic changes, which I do appreciate. I do think it does well. One random note, actually. This is more violent than the other two Crusher Joe features, and I'm not quite sure why. I mean, I guess it was in 1989 that maybe they decided to do it more violent because of the time. I honestly don't know, but regardless, there is some violence here. Blood randomly changes. There is some red blood, and I guess during more gratuitous moments they chose to make it gray blood. Dust. Go figure. Regardless, though, that really doesn't detract from the animation score. This is a very fine-looking show. And near the end in particular, there's a lot of great action sequences with really fluid animation. You can appreciate it for that. On the sound, there is back the operatic moments of the Ice Prison OVA with some really good upbeat tunes and really heroic sounding tunes. There is a bit more 80s-esque synthesizer music used in here, but it actually almost fits because most of it is used during the cloaker sequences, and the cloaker sequences being reminiscent of almost a horror movie where they're killing off the people. It actually adds to it and gives it a lot of charm. So I'm not going to mark it down for that. I think the sound still does a good job. Again, not as good as the movie, but you're not going to be grating. The sound won't break your eardrums. So in conclusion, I suppose if this is the way Crusher Joe has to go out on Ash the Ultimate Weapon, I would be happy with it. This is a good movie. You can't get it on its own. Like I said last time, you have to buy the now out-of-print DVD set. There may be a torrent out there for it. Not sure. I honestly wouldn't think so. It's pretty old and not extremely well known, which is why I'm trying to inform you. But this is a really good movie. It's got some great action in it. Definitely entertaining in that aspect. The story's pretty good. If you like space opera, this is certainly something you'll enjoy at the very least. Especially if you like the old-fashioned kind of action movie, where the good guy was good, the bad guy was bad, and the good guy just kicked a whole lot of ass. This is a really fun movie. Not as good as Crusher Joe the movie. That review is coming. But this is certainly a worthy addition to the set, and if you can get a hold of it, I would suggest watching it. On a side note, before I log off here, I am going to say I want to apologize for the lack of pictures in this. My camera is busted, my webcam. I have to get a new one, and until then I gotta use these pictures. And Crusher Joe, you can't really find a whole lot for it online, and I don't know how to rip anything off the DVDs, and don't want to get sued for it either. So, yeah, just unfortunately, guys, you're gonna have to make do with that. Just play it in the background if you want. You're not missing much of the picture. Look at it for 2 seconds and skip to another page and listen to it like a podcast. Either way, thanks for listening. Look forward to the next movie review.